Good evening, Razorback fans. Welcome to the one and the only Hog Talk podcast, live from the Sterling Soap and Roastery Studios, part of the Believe in Buzz Radio networks, where you can hear us on 106.7 in Central Arkansas. All live shows are presented to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark. I'm Porter Hayes, and we're also brought to you by BetOnline. Continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use the promo code BLEAV for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online where the game starts. We're joined by Arkansas Razorback Hockey Club coach Keller Sims via the Meadows Lumber Hotline. Good to talk to you again, sir. Heading into the second half of the season, just give us a quick recap how the first half went. You're sitting at 11-3-1, moving into the second half, and just kind of talk about the first half of the season.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on again, Porter. It's always fun to be on and talk a little bit of hockey with you guys, and kind of update everyone with what we have going on throughout the season. This year, a little bit of a slow start for us compared to our normal standards. I think we picked it up really well through the middle of this the fall semester, and then a tough split with division rival in Missouri State at the end of the season or end of the semester, but responded well with the sweep of Dallas Baptist to finish it up. So we've got a young team this year, so a lot of ups and downs, a lot of mistakes that are correctable and that we have been working to correct. So all in all, I mean, can't be disappointed with a record like that and being inside the top 15. But I think we all know as a group that we have an opportunity in front of us the second semester, and we can do a lot better, put a better product out on the ice.
Well, it's funny. We were talking about before we started recording. You're 11-3-1, and you're like, that's a non-typical start to your season, and talk about where your program is. That shows, one of the fans and just the excitement around your team, and you keep winning. I mean, been so close to a national championship a few times.
Yeah.
And again, you're entering in the second half ranked 12th, but you mentioned the youth. You have 6 seniors on your squad. So, how has that been an adjustment of not having that veteran heavy team, but yet you're sitting really good at 11-3 with, pretty much freshman and sophomore squad?
Yeah, it's been different. I think this is my 7th or 8th season. It's hard to keep track at this point, but over the last 4 or 5 years, we've had a pretty big impact group of guys with Cameron McAtee, Griffin Shugasawara, Zach Wilson, on and on, Dusenka and Net, and leaned on those guys heavily, rely on those guys heavily, and then now you come in and there's a lot of opportunity across the board. That was my message in the first meeting we had, is opportunity. And so we have guys, freshmen, sophomores, eating up a ton of ice time for us that, wasn't the case over the past few years. So it's been fun to coach. It's been fun to see, our seniors. I mean, you look at Kyle Patterson, Trevor Borlace, Kyle Cruz, the captain, they step up big and into those roles and have ran with it, but also to see the new guys come in, embrace what we're about, buy into our culture, and kind of flourish inside of our systems and in our program.
Yeah, adding on to that, you talk about your youth again. 2 your 3 points leaders underclassmen, so that
Right.
also adds another. And then what I wanted to dive into next, we kind of talked about beforehand, was your goalie situation. And the casual fan, even including me, who don't follow hockey that often, you're sitting with 3 goalies. Now, is that a normal thing in your club setting, your league setting, where you would rotate, goalies, or are you just that deep at goalie where you're able to do that?
Yeah, I think it depends on the talent that you have. There's definitely teams that we play against that have a clear number one that plays most nights, and especially all division and league games. In the past, Sam Haynes is a senior, led between the pipes last year in the most starts. Him and Grady are pretty close this season. But when he came in as a freshman, I think he got 2 starts, and the rest were all Joseph DeSanka. And so it just kind of depends on the strength of the position. We're fortunate that we have very strong goalies. We have, um, you know, Sam is a senior, but also Grady and Noah back there as juniors as well. So it's not like we're young in between the position or between the pipes. So I like to, obviously roll with the hot hand. But as far as Sam and Grady go, I think we have a 1A and a 1B, which really helps those guys, competing every week at practice, and pushes them both to be better. And I think, it shows with the splits that we have that we're going to go with the guy who earns it, not just the senior or, oh, you haven't started in a rotation in a while, so we're going to go with you. So I think it really helps, our competition in between the pipes.
And another big thing when you're building your program, knowing that if you get a couple of guys behind, in the goalie, they don't have to worry about sitting behind a guy. They can sit there and get game time. They can get reps. They can get action, and really kind of builds your program around knowing that the next year you got 2 guys that are juniors now when Sam's gone, that you can put them in there and you're confident, and it builds their confidence. They're not just replacing somebody. You're just replacing and reloading your team.
Absolutely. Yeah. You don't find yourself in a position where, okay, now these guys are juniors, but they've played, 5 games up to this point. Then you're sitting there where they have to learn on the fly. They haven't had much ice time. Or you go into the off season like, okay, what do we truly look like here? Well, we know what we have. We know how, stacked we are at the position, so it helps. And, I think it helps with those guys too, because since they've been on campus, I haven't gone out and recruited any goalies. We haven't gone out of our way to get goalies on campus because I trust those guys. I know that they have what it takes to get us, to that first program national championship. And I think, even, NCAA sports right now with the transfer portal is Wild West. But, club sports, club hockey especially can be that way too. So I think it's great, kind of twofold. I have confidence that, we're going to have those guys and they're going to be there for us. And they have confidence that, we're not just going to abandon them or move on to the next shiny piece that comes along.
And also dealing, we talked with the rugby team earlier in the year of being a club team. You don't have that benefit of scholarships or the benefit of, getting these guys, and you talk about the Wild West NIL and stuff like that. These guys are doing it, and now you got to come, like rugby, and this is no knock on rugby. Love rugby, love watching it. These are guys banging on a field. You're asking your guys, hey, come put these skates on. It's like you're skating, playing ice hockey, and doing it at a club level. And going into that, how much of this, the guys that come here and play, what's the likelihood or the percentage of the guys that are on your team or in your league, move up through the ranks and end up getting to the pro level?
Yeah, it just kind of depends. So hockey is exploding in North America, and there's obviously a lot of opportunities overseas. ACHA players making it to the NHL is extremely rare. Probably just a few cases across the board. But, we've had a number of players in the past that have played minor pro hockey, whether that be, the SPHL or the Federal Hockey League. Easton Oliver played, overseas a little while too. You see guys when you're looking at these pro rosters that have played ACHA hockey, whether for our program or programs that we played against. So it's definitely a possibility, but 99% of guys that are playing are going to be, accountants or doctors or engineers, those type of things. And so that's a big emphasis in our program is, yes, we want to win hockey games. And yes, I want you guys to become better and enjoy the hockey side of things. But we're pushing these guys to, be successful young men too, right? To have success when they start their careers, to make sure they're doing what they need to do to have success in the classroom. And so, those types of things are a big emphasis for us. And I think it's a benefit for guys to not only get to continue to play hockey, but to have a little bit more structure and someone to lean on to kind of help them build those steps towards success while they're a student athlete.
And y'all, from the time you started coaching to where you're at now in the league, and there was talks, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, if it's a for sure thing you're moving up in divisions, talk about that part of it and talk about where you're moving up to, but yet how close are y'all from potentially where you could be like on the NCAA level, like kind of giving a perspective.
Sure. Yeah. So after 17 years now of success at the D3 level, ACHA D3 level, especially recently with so many nationals appearances and a runner up and a Frozen Four, we kind of took a step back and looked at the growth of hockey in our area and our program, and made the decision to move up into Division II. So that's a big step for us. It's a step in the right direction for the growth of the program. We've had a lot of success. Now it's time to push ourselves even further. So we're really excited. It's going to look a lot different. Unfortunately, we might lose some of the rivalries that we have with these other D3 teams. We might, have to bring on a little bit more travel, especially early on while we're trying to establish ourselves. But, the players get better, the speed gets faster, the hockey gets to become a better product. And so I think our fans are really going to be excited. There may not be any more of those, 18-1 drubbings that happen every once in a while, but I think that's a good thing. I don't like coaching those games. Our players don't like playing those games. So I think it's going to be a really big move for our program. As far as, NCAA hockey, that's the end goal, I think, for everybody. To eventually, grow the game to where, we can have a team, not just at Arkansas, but, OU has a really good program. Georgia has a really good program. South Carolina, these SEC schools, Big 12 schools are growing their programs, and not just the product on the ice, but, the credibility, the professionalism, the presentation of everything, to show these schools, we're not just a bunch of guys who showed up and want to play. It's there's a lot of thought and growth that goes into this. We're a long ways away from that here. Maybe a 20-year plan. There's a lot that goes into that, right? So we would need an NCAA facility, which is probably $15 million on the cheap side. You would need to figure out what you're going to do with your scholarships. Are you going to have a men's and a women's team? How does that work with Title IX? I definitely think there's an interest, and if you put a hog on something, people are going to love it instantly. I think attendance would do really well here. NCAA hockey is one of the only profitable sports in the NCAA. It's kind of football, basketball, hockey, baseball in some places are the only profitable ones. So that's another thing here that I think would be beneficial. But, as well as we're doing, we're still a long ways off from NCAA hockey in Fayetteville.
And talking about the fandom, when did you really start to notice? You're talking about putting a hog on something, and you're a hockey club, and the 5 years that I've been doing the podcast and following the team, I've seen it grow. When did you really see things start catching on, and when did it really shock you? Like, okay, we're not officially part of the university, but yet we're a club team, and seeing the fandom and seeing the support, how cool has that been?
It's awesome. And, it's incredible really, because, we go on the road and we'll play, a good hockey team, that's having a lot of success, has had a lot of success. And for whatever reason, there's 20 people and families there, and then, that same team might turn around and play us on the back half of the season, and we've got 500, 600 people going nuts at our games. And, it's crazy to see the support that we get. It's amazing to get it. Even when I was in school here and, 2010, the program's a few years old, and there's 300 people there. There's people standing in line, for tickets. And it's like, wow, this people care about this. People are invested. And then that's continued to grow to where, now it's funny. You guys will put this out and someone will probably comment, well, they're a club team. They're a club team. And then it used to be like, me like, oh, well, yeah, but we're putting in a lot of work to this. And now they'll get 5 comments back saying, yeah, they are, but they work their asses off. Work their butts off. to be successful, and all of that without the shiny toys and the $1 million facility and the scholarships. So for the people to come out and support us in person at games, to buy the jerseys when we do the jersey sales, to, you know, everything, support us on our social medias, repost, help spread, tell their friends to come to games. It just means a ton, because this thing continues to trend upward. And, you know, as long as people want us to succeed and come support us, you know, we'll keep doing our best to put a good team on the ice.
And you talked about the social media aspect. I mean, I followed y'all in the national tournament, you know, with the Facebook Live, you know, just that one tool alone, showing your games on Facebook. And I can't remember what the peak was, but man, there was so many people that would tune in. And I believe y'all are playing at like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning. This was not a midday game. This was like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And I want to say there was like almost 1,000 people watching. You know, that right there shows the growth of your program. And I know that had to be cool as well, because you couldn't see the fans in the stands, but yet to hear afterwards, we had a lot of people tuning in on Facebook at 7 o'clock in the morning. I know that had to make your team smile.
It was, you know, I look back, especially, you know, the COVID year when we were in Michigan, very minimal fans allowed, long way from home, games are at weird times. That was just a weird season in all of itself. But having, you know, the ACHA guys come up to me and say, you know, when you guys play, our broadcast triples, or, you know, we went from 150 viewers to 700 viewers when your game came on, or whatever. Like, it means a lot. Like, our guys that do our broadcast at home on YouTube, they crush it, right? They have gotten better each year with their professionalism, with the presentation. But, you know, we get compliments from opposing teams, fans, and parents about our broadcast. You know, you check the viewership, and we may have had 500 people at the game, and then we had another 750 to 1,000 who watched it live. So, you know, that's cool, and not a lot of hockey teams at the ACHA level can boast that type of support and interest in the program. So it's special.
And you're kicking off you know, the second half of your season this Friday, and just talk about, you know, the importance. We're talking about, you know, moving up, and potentially if you would love to have, you know, better facilities. Of course, every program would, you know, how much does that support? How much does all of that go into, you know, hey, we really want you to come out. We're seeing our numbers. We're seeing this, because when sponsors come in, they're like, hey, we want to start watching this. And then you get there and there's not a seat in the house, and that's exciting. But getting a bigger facility or getting more people, more room, that I know that would help your team and you and fans and everybody be able to watch the game.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when you're talking about $10 to $20 million facilities, is when it comes to ice rinks, build it and they will come is not really a safe option, right? So it's the opposite, right? People need to come and they'll build it. So the ice time need's already there for a new facility. The Jones Center's rink is full from, you know, the time we practice at 6 a.m. until they close the doors, you know, for just the rink at 11:30. The rest of the building closes at 8 or something like that. Full every day. And so the ice time needs there. So then it shows, you know, if we can continually pack our building, you know, standing room only at times, a few of the games, the stands are full. I think it shows, you know, whether that be the Jones Center looking to expand their rink, or someone who has identified a need for Northwest Arkansas and they're looking to put a sheet in, you know, maybe Fayetteville, maybe closer to campus. That would be nice for us. But it shows that, okay, if we were to build this, we need to keep in mind the viewership aspect of this. We need to make sure that we're putting enough stands in to support, you know, however many patrons are going to come to this. We need to make sure they have good sight lines. You know, we need to make sure that Arkansas has space within the facility to have, you know, a locker room and, you know, maybe some training room or something like that to help them attract athletes to continue this thing going in the right direction. So it's huge.
And seeing, you know, the semi-pro, or I think it was semi-pro, or I don't know what you would call it, minor league soccer, you know, seeing other sports showing interest. You've seen what minor league baseball has done in Arkansas with the Travelers and Naturals. Now you're seeing a soccer team come to Northwest Arkansas. it kind of gives you hope of knowing, especially how
Right.
successful your team has done, that it can happen. You can get those facilities. And again, that's a part of the reason why we wanted really to have, you come on and talk about the team, because this Friday starts the second half, but yet really could springboard into more fans, more anything. And then you could see new facilities in the near future.
Yeah. I mean, as many people as we can get out to support us in the second half of the season, I think that goes a long way to showing, the people who have the power or the money or the ability or the connections. There's so much. It's like, great. I could talk to Blue in the face about what would be a great hockey rink for this area. I can't build it. I mean, I don't have land. I don't have money for that. So, getting in the ear or getting the exposure to the people that do is huge. And how's that? How do you do that? Right? You word of mouth. You get them to a game. They have a good time. You put out. We continue to grow our social media presence. We continue to grow our broadcast, and to where the right eyes are getting on the product and the right amount of support is getting behind it. And then maybe, somebody comes to us and wants to have a conversation about, what that might look like. But at the end of the day, this weekend, we have Mizzou, the number 6 ranked team in the country, division rival, coming up 7:30 p.m. on Friday, 3:15 on Saturday. Biggest series of our season so far. We win Friday. We guarantee ourselves a spot in the conference tournament in St. Louis in a few weeks. We win both these games. We move ourselves up in the rankings. So yes, I want to grow the program and I want to grow our footprint, but really, like, our guys need everyone out there supporting this weekend. Give us that competitive edge. Our rink's hard to play in. The fans are right on top of you. It's loud. It's a little bit shorter than regulation size, so plays happen fast. The game is fast. And so, you add the crowd noise and people calling the hogs after every time you get scored on. It's an intimidating atmosphere. And, I think it could go a long way to really help support our guys and, help us get some home ice advantage against a really good hockey team coming in here Saturday. We haven't had a lot of success in Arkansas sports with Mizzou lately, so
Yeah,
everyone can use us as an outlet for their frustration.
There you go. And for those who, are not able to make it to the game, I know you said you had a YouTube channel, and I've watched you on Facebook Live. So, talk about those two outlets where people can tune in and watch y'all play on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, so we will post on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We'll post the link to our YouTube channel roughly 30 minutes before puck drop each day. You can also search Razorback Hockey on YouTube, and it's the first thing that pops up. And all of our home games are live streamed on our YouTube channel. Usually on the road, we will set up some sort of Facebook Live or link to the other team's broadcast, depending on what the facility looks like. Is there anywhere we can set this up that's going to make sense? But those options are out there if you can't get to the game, or you want to see what it's like before you spend the time and energy to go down to the Jones Center in Springdale. It's an easy way. Just look us up on YouTube, 7:30. Those guys, EJ and crew, do a great job on the broadcast, and you'll think you're watching ESPN. Maybe not as HD as ESPN, but just the quality that those guys put into is pretty awesome.
And admission, is there any admission? Is it free? What's the admission at the gate?
Yep. So admission is $5 at the gate, and then children 12 and under are free. Seating's first come, first serve. There's roughly 400 to 450, depending on how packed people get in there, seats up top. And then we're planning on having some benches set up to where it's 2 rows deep, standing room only around the glass. I think last year our biggest crowd was about 700 people, and I mean, that thing was packed. Sure, Fire Marshal wasn't too excited about it, but I've seen some awesome crowds the past couple years, and there's no reason with an SEC school coming in, a top 12 matchup with division implications on the line. There's no reason people can't come out and support and enjoy what they see, enjoy a really quality hockey game.
Well, Coach, again, appreciate you coming on, talk about the team. Good luck in the second half of the season. And hopefully we're talking about another national championship run in the near future for your program.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Really appreciate you having us on, and woo pig.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, that was Coach Keller Sims of the Arkansas Hockey Club team. Again, be sure if you can go by the Jones Center Friday and Saturday to check them out. You just, like we talked about beforehand, sitting at 11-3-1 is kind of under their standards as their program. So that shows you where they're at as a program. And of course, anytime you can beat Missouri or play against Missouri and cheer against Missouri, that has added aspects to it too. So first come, first serve, $5 at the gate. You can't ask for a better. I know the weather's been kind of uncooperative earlier in the week with people being snowed in the roads, but we're going to take a quick break. After the break, Adam's going to join me. We're going to talk about some notable things happening around Arkansas and kind of preview the game tonight at 8 o'clock against Texas A&M. We'll catch you after the break.
Attention DIYers and home improvement enthusiasts. Are you searching for the right tools and the supplies to tackle your next project? Look no further than Mentor's Hardware Store. With locations in Ozark, Alma, and Clarksville, our vast selection of hardware and building materials is sure to have everything you need. Whether you're fixing a leaky faucet or building a new deck, plus our knowledgeable staff is always on hand to offer expert advice and guidance. And with our competitive prices and convenient online ordering, Mentor's Hardware Store is your one-stop shop for all your DIY needs. Visit us today and let's build something amazing together. Are you in need of legal representation? Look no further than the law offices Robertson, Beasley, Shipley, and Robinson. As the oldest law firm in the River Valley, we have been serving our clients for over 100 years, with locations in Ozark, Fort Smith, and Smith. Our experienced team of attorneys provide expert guidance and advocacy in a wide range of legal areas, including personal injury, family law, criminal defense, and more. Trust in our history and experience to get the results you deserve. Contact the law office of Robertson, Beasley, Shipley, and Robinson today at 479-782-8813. That's 479-782-8813. Are you looking for a place to grab a cold drink and some delicious food? Look no further than Arkansas Brewing Company. Located at 201 South First Street in beautiful downtown Ozark, our establishment offers a wide selection of craft beers and tasty eats. But what sets us apart is our welcoming atmosphere and friendly staff. At Arkansas Brewing Company, you'll always feel like part of the family. So visit Destiny and Christopher Brockett and staff today and see for yourself what makes us the go-to spot for locals and visitors alike. Arkansas Brewing Company, come for the drinks and stay for the friends. Searching for premium brewery products that will take your daily routine to the next level? Look no further than Sterling Soap Company. Our handmade soaps, aftershaves, and balms are made with only the finest ingredients that give you the ultimate grooming experience. With a variety of scents to choose from, there's something for everyone. Plus, our products are crafted in small batches to ensure the highest level of quality. So why wait? Visit www.sterlingsoap.com or visit our retail store at 16 West Walnut Street in Paris, Arkansas. Shop our collection and discover the difference for yourself. Upgrade your grooming routine with Sterling Soap Company.
And welcome back to the Hog Talk podcast. Adam joins us now. Adam, I know you wasn't here to catch Coach Keller Sims on. We were talking about, the growth of the hockey team.
Mm-hmm.
So how surprising they're sitting at 11-3, and that's a down first half for them. I know you've followed the hockey team for a while as well, and just your thoughts on that team, and they're moving up into the division next season, I believe. So just what's your thoughts on the team and moving into the second half?
I'm excited for them moving up to see kind of where they start stacking against better competition, if you will. I have followed them for several years now. I've watched, countless games on YouTube and Facebook Live, and it's crazy to see the numbers growing like they have, because for so long you post, the hockey score, there's a hockey game tonight. You still get folks that are like, Arkansas has a hockey team. It's like, yeah, we do. They've also, been to their national championship, and you start naming off their accolades, and people are like, whoa. They're shocked at it because, you don't hear much about hockey in Arkansas, but I did catch the tail end. The games that I've watched at the Jones Center are definitely faster paced than other places. So it's one of those things that it's an exciting game.
Yeah, and we're talking about just the Jones Center and people going in there and they're wanting to, someday, get their own facilities and how important it is. But I told him about the time that they played some game at like 7:00 in the morning, and it was like almost 1,000 people
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook live feed. I mean, that right there shows you. And Adam, honestly, when we're talking about this hockey club program, how many other programs affiliated with Arkansas can we say the same thing about? You look at the soccer program, the
Mm-hmm.
women's basketball program, the football program, even when they were down and out and you go to 9 wins. I mean, just the growth and how easy it is to get people involved, intrigued, and then start attending the games. Now you're seeing all these women's sports that are breaking attendance
Mm-hmm.
records and season ticket holder records. And I think the same thing can be said about the hockey team. And it would be cool for them to get a newer facility, or if
Mm-hmm.
they expand the Jones Center.
Yeah, it's something that Arkansas fans, they want to see a good product, whether it's on the court, on the field, on the ice. And so, with the work that the hockey team has put in, that you can see on the ice, and then their victories, their product they put out there. I mean, it's something that they deserve the attention that they get. They deserve a lot more than they've already gotten.
And moving on to the game tonight, Coach Z 24 minutes ago just put out that the Aggies' second leading rebounder and third leading scorer, Henry Coleman III, is in street clothes on the court. But if that goes anything like football, it doesn't matter. It seems like even when you mention the backups in or what, and I remember there was a game last season it was like that. They had 2
Mhm.
guys out and they still put up 20, or their backups or their reserves put up 20 points each. But that is a significant deal for this game just because of the importance of tonight's win. You have to win this game.
Yeah, it's we're now at the backs against the wall. This is going to be the potential turning point. I know I saw posted earlier today, I forget where, that the last 4 seasons under Muss, where he's been at to start the SEC and those turnarounds after the first 4 or 5 games. But we're to a point that if you want any chance, at postseason, and that's postseason, whether it's NIT or the NCAA tournament, you've got to start winning some games now.
And that's the thing. I'm not calling them, excuses, but when does, and I don't know how to put it, whether it's worry or you're running out of, okay, they were at this point this time last year. Look where they were at 2 years ago. Look where they were at 3. When do those start running dry?
I think it's one of those that's something that media fans, they're always going to resort back to, going back to what happened last year or the year prior. That's just going to be until they come in and, with they're undefeated at this point, it's one of those, they don't look behind anymore.
Yeah. And that's what, cause I've seen, like the past week or so,
Mm-hmm.
Definitely it's like, well, look where they were in 2021 or 2022 and they went to the Elite Eight, or look where, but you got to sit there and look at that roster. What's this roster doing to prove that things are going to be different? You've seen glimpses of Joe, you've seen what Jalen Williams, you've seen what JD Notte done. You've seen when you had a score, you had those dogs on your team, Mason Jones, that a guy that could get you 20, 30 on any given night. We don't really see that. I mean, we see it in Sparks and we know kind of the talent's there, but we've not seen that. Okay, when Minifield gets on the court or Battle gets on the court, we know he's going to get us 20. That's going to have to be the turning point. If one of those players or 2 of those players start stepping up to where, when they step on the court, they're going to give you 20 at least, or 17 to 20 points a pop. That's where that confidence starts building of, okay, we got to win this one, but then you've already got to be like, we got to win the next one. Tonight's game is kind of like putting that piece of cardboard or that piece of wood underneath your tire when you're stuck. This is just the start. Winning tonight's game proves that, okay, now let's move forward, because you look at the next 3 games after that. You got South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Kentucky. You need to win 2 out of those 3 heading into the Kentucky game, because it's going to be, Saturday at 5 p.m. on ESPN, you play Kentucky on the 27th. Tonight's game is that important because, one, it starts that, okay, we know that we can bounce back, but that just makes the South Carolina game just as important, because you're proving, one, that, okay, yeah, we bounced back. Now you got to keep going in the right direction. You can't win tonight and then turn around and lay an egg against South Carolina. But again, that's a tall task. They're 14-2 and 2-1 in conference.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes this year so bad, is when you're looking up at where you're at, you're not playing a bottom half of the SEC for the remaining of the season. You're playing a lot of teams above you, because the fact that when you're sitting there just ahead of Missouri and Vanderbilt, that's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of, you think that this little stretch right here, and it's not little by any means, going back to, let's say, the football season. And I'm not trying to directly compare what happened in football to what's happening in basketball, but, there was the gauntlet, murderer's row, whatever you wanted to call it, during the football season that Arkansas had. And, I feel like that's what we're pretty much about to be looking at for SEC play right here. We're in that stretch that they've got to come in and prove something, especially, we're 2 weeks away from February, and then we're kind of in no man's land after that, besides, just out and out winning the conference tournament to guarantee a way in. So it's one of those that they've got to start now. They've got to turn things around now.
And as much as you want to shy away from comparing it to the football season, this is exactly where they're at. You look at these 4 games, you're looking at this gauntlet, because other than the Texas A&M game, it is a gauntlet. Playing at Oxford is no easy task. South Carolina, again, what we talked about, their record and where they're standing at. Kentucky's always tough. This is just to keep you from just flat out giving up on the rest of the season. And that's the thing. Like, look, there's been talk about, well, don't talk about these players or don't talk about that, but there's going to be a time where they have to prove that they want to win. They have to prove that they can come together. It's a give and take. And again, we talked about on Sunday, and not going after anybody personally on a personal level, or calling out somebody individually on a personal level. But this team needs to shapen up. They need a kick in the ass, because especially if you lose tonight at home against a team that you're supposed to win against, I'll tell you what, come the game. If this thing doesn't turn around, you come to this game against Kentucky, be lucky to have 10,000 people in the arena, and that's unheard of, giving the opponent.
Yeah, and it's funny looking back at this summer, going into the early part of the season, beginning of school, teams were still like kind of finding themselves, if you will. We were looking at Kentucky this summer. I think at one point early in the summer, they had 7 guys on their roster, and it was, they didn't know who they were going to get. They didn't know, what kind of team they were going to put out there. And then here they are doing what, not always Calipari does, but they're up there. They're beating teams. There's no reason that, they probably, I don't even know what they're ranked right now, but they were talking, they should be top 2 or 3 in a lot of people's polls.
Yeah.
So,
and you just look where they're at. Even a Kentucky team that's kind of out of whack, 12-3, 2-1. You're looking at so many, Ole Miss is sitting at 15-1, 2-1. South Carolina 14-2, 2-1. That's not what you want to see on your schedule. So I'm looking at the next 5 games, and 2 of them, well, only one of those are like winnable-ish games based on the way you're playing. You look at Missouri on the 31st, because they're sitting right there just above Vanderbilt. But again, the team's playing just like the football team. There's no guaranteed wins. You can look at Vanderbilt and Missouri and look, you don't need to give Missouri any more confidence. And that's what me and Keller was talking about right there at the tail end. I know you probably caught that part of it when it come to playing Missouri. You don't want to give those guys any more ammo more than what they already have.
Mm-hmm. And, I look at the us looking at who's going to be the leader, who's going to step up. I don't care if it's Devo. I don't care if it's Brazil. I don't, at this point, it doesn't matter who it is. Just somebody needs to.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be a veteran. It can be, somebody. Obviously, everybody's basically new to the team, but it could be Layden Blocker for all we care. I mean, just somebody. You just go out there on the court and just have that court presence to, command your team. Because there's guys that just, when they're on the court, when they're on the bench, they're just not with it.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. You see, the mix up and where Musselman said that, Blocker and, Pinion's going to be getting some more minutes tonight. He might start them. You don't know. You don't. I'm trying to look up the see if they've posted the starting lineup right now on the stats broadcast. Let's see. They don't. Hold on. Let me look and see. No, they just have the full roster. They don't have a starting lineup posted on the game, but you don't know who he's going to start. And I'll put this up here right quick.
Well, it's one of those things if a player gets their feathers ruffled or whatever because of lesser playing time than they've had so far this season or not starting or whatever, there's been nothing proven by the record to justify anybody having an issue with, sitting on the bench. If it's not working, then keep rotating, keep changing until something works.
Yeah. You're looking right here at the points. They're scoring 4 points, 4 points less than you. They're shooting 5 points percentage less than you. Worse at 3-point percentage. Worse by a little bit on the free throw line. They're out rebounding teams and they're doubling up. That could be the biggest key is the offensive boards. They're doubling you up on the offensive rebounds. That is where, and they don't convert that many, 2 less turnovers a game. So you can take all the field goal percentages and stuff, but if you're getting out rebounded, especially on the offensive boards, doubled up, and that turns into second chance points, you got to have some. That's what I've noticed is that they're lacking that big inside presence where people are afraid to go inside. And dominate. And what's crazy is when they played Purdue, they shut Eddie down. And then when they played against Duke, they played up for the challenge. And I think they need to play up, even if this team is even with you or lower than you. You got to start playing up the challenge because you're going to be the bottom of the barrel and looking up at all the teams.
Yeah, they're second in the nation in blocks, but a lot of that's just the length. It's not necessarily everybody like driving in, and there's several possessions that we get, a couple of blocks on one possession. But before, like with Jalen and the presence of this guy is going to take a charge if I drive into the paint, or getting my shot blocked. But still, that unknown was there. The uncertainty was there for the defenders, so the paint was protected. But which I know they've changed a lot of the rules in the NCAA, and I like to call them the Jalen Williams rules.
Exactly.
Because they directly changed as a result of him taking charges. And so they had to figure out, okay, how can we not favor the defender so much in this? And so it's harder to take charges now. But at the same time, you've got to, I'd rather you get offensive fouls for trying or defense. I'd rather you take a block for trying than just not be in the paint at all because you're too scared.
Well, and that's the thing too. Every sport we can look at is geared toward offense. You look at football, basketball, baseball, if they're juicing the balls or the bats, they're trying to make everything more toward the offensive part of the game. And when a defender is having to look down to make sure he's in that little halo area, and then now, especially in D1, NBA, how the speed of the sport is. I mean, you shouldn't have to do that. Get in position and take the block. Now, if the guy's already in the air and then you try to come over, I think 100% of the time that should be a defensive foul because that's playing into the safety of the game. If But also on the other hand, when the offensive guy goes up for a layup and his arm is already out like here, yeah, you create. But to me, that gives a disadvantage to the defensive player because the offensive guy has so much advantage of he can go up with this arm. And if you're not really just paying attention, you can't see if the arm's extended. You can't see if the guy's pushing off. There's just so much. And Coach, I think was it Coach Barnes at Tennessee was one of the ones that was leading the charge.
Yep, 100%.
To change the charge rule because I remember him speaking out against that, but it's part of the game. Guys are going into the lane out of control, and he's moving, and he's set, and he's getting a charge.
And they've, everything's changed over the years. Going back to the NBA in the 90s, Vlade Divac made a career out of flopping, taking charges and whatnot. So then they changed those rules, and then we're to the point that the defender was given too much space, essentially, and so now let's shrink that down. I mean, really, like just looking back at some of the offensive changes that I've noticed, now they're starting to call more, the offensive player for kicking that leg out when they're taking a jump shot to create contact. But in reality, you're just taking everything possible, not everything possible. You're taking so much away from the defender, just like in football, that you're now changing how these guys have played the game.
Well, there was I'll say something on the basketball, move quickly to the football part of it. You're also seeing guys when they come down from the shot, then they fall down because the guy didn't give them enough room to land. It's like now guys are automatically, they're landing on the ground, then they just fall down. It's like, where's that part of the game? And then the football, there was a play. I can't remember what team it was. The guy went low and hit him in the leg. But they're like, that's a dirty hit. That's a dirty play. And I'm like, no, it's not. If he would have went high and hit him in the head, okay. But it's the fact that just because he lowered his head, he's going for the legs, going for the knees, it was dirty. He hit him with his shoulder pads. But also, what do you want the guy to do? Do you want it to be flag football? Do you want it to be two-hand touch? I mean, you've got guys out there. We're talking about the speed of the game. You got grown men out there flying around. And again, I don't want to hear nothing about the safety of the game until they change the safety equipment. Guys are coming out there in freaking shorts. They don't even have knee pads no more. So if you really want to change the safety of the game, make them start wearing actual football pants with knee pads and not worry about guys that are sitting there with them Meemaw shirts on with the shoulder pads in them, the little foam things. And that's, you can't sit. I mean, for heaven's sakes, freaking Patrick Mahomes' helmet cracked. It was so cold, and that was clearly helmet to helmet contact. Nothing was called. It's just, you got to sit there and you can't call everything a dirty play just because someone got hurt.
When you hear especially you hear a lot of it from the defenders. You hear it a lot from the retired quarterbacks on the changes that were made or that have been made over the years. And I mean, defenders, they're not afraid, obviously, but they've had to change the way they play so much that they can't do what they were brought up to do. Looking back, being a Baltimore fan, you're never going to see, a Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. Like, we're not going to see that again. Yes, Baltimore's defense right now is doing something that the previous didn't, but at the same time, you don't have those caliber of players, the hard hit. I mean, Tom Brady himself said if Ray Lewis was in the game, he's not throwing over the middle because he needs his receiver.
Exactly.
Because he knows that he's going to take out his receiver. So that's something now. I mean, players are so afraid are they too high? Are they too low? They're having to pull up as they're going to hit a quarterback or they're going to hit a receiver or whoever because they're afraid of getting penalized or kicked out of a game.
And making a jump on a ball to where in reality you had a chance to get an interception, make a jump on the ball, make a read, a tackle, prevent a first down, or take one to the house. Now you're having to calculate in your head, do I run now? Do I stop? But that fraction of a second or that second can be the difference between you making a tackle or you misjudge it, and now they're scoring. Now you look like you haven't done your job, but you have to sit there. Offensive guy just needs to worry about, all right, running the right route, turning, catching, And then where's the defenders?
Mm-hmm.
Defender has to worry about, all right, is this going to be before, after? There's a lot of we can make a whole show on what needs to be changed with pro sports, but it's just funny how people throw these scenarios out there when a guy was making a good play.
Mm-hmm.
But we're pushing up on 30 minutes until game time. Adam, again, we can't stress enough how important this game is. Do you see Arkansas bouncing back and winning this game?
Yes. I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes. I think that this is the game with all of the media talk, the fan talk, as frustrated as we've seen Muss in press conferences. I think this last blowout is basically the straw that broke the camel's back. So this game right here, I think they come out and play. We see a different level of just intensity than we've seen so far this year, because that's something big that's been lacking.
Yeah, I want to lean toward the same way, just because it's like that's another one of those snow games where the fans are involved, $10 tickets to get in. You've seen crazy things when campus is shut down and there's a basketball game going on. But also, my biggest concern is if he's making some big time changes and changing things up again, how the players are going to respond to that. Because look, you can't let Texas A&M come here and take control of this game because of a decision the coach made based on how you're playing as a team.
Mm-hmm. Well, and these guys, you got to look at it like, okay, the coach is making changes. I can either adapt or I can sit back and, let's just say, whine about it. And then, how is that going to look to a future team, a future coach, whatever level you want to go to, whether it's overseas, NBA, whatever? It's kind of one of those things that you can huff and puff, but you've got to be able to show that you're a team player.
Exactly.
And so are you gonna man up with it, or are you just gonna sit back and let whatever happen?
Well, we'll find out here shortly, a matter of 30 minutes. Like I said, how things go down, and we'll definitely be discussing that on Sunday. And hopefully, for the sake of it's crazy, we keep on making this narrative about the football team, but we're in the same boat. Hopefully, we're talking about an Arkansas basketball win on Sunday, and we'll discuss all the other things that are going around. Again, before we leave, if you weren't catching us before the first half, if you're out and about on Friday and Saturday, go by the Jones Center, go watch the Arkansas Hockey Club take on Missouri, 3:00 on Saturday and 7:30 p.m. on Friday. $5 at the door. If you can't make it, they're going to show it on YouTube and Facebook. But presented to you by Bet Online, Arkansas Brewing Company, and Sterling Soap and Roastery Studios. I'm Porter Hayes and Adam Hall, and we will catch you on Sunday.